can see, I've been taking my clothes off, not just for Mimi's benefit, although she's rather enjoying it, because I'm about to have my first ever flu shot. And I thought I couldn't get a better guy than you to do it. So the myth about these, and I'm told it's a myth, is that you can actually get flu or flu-like symptoms simply by having the shot. Is that true?
You cannot get the flu from the flu shot because the material is actually dead flu virus.
Okay.
So it cannot cause a problem for you. It's based on whatever virus was present in Southeast Asia a few months ago.
Okay, so that is a myth.
That's a myth.
Okay. You've got a very large needle.
I love this.
This
is literally the biggest needle I could find. There are none larger. Please give me a muscle.
Okay.
That's it?
Mate, that's the biggest muscle you've seen for a while.
Look. All right, that's it. That's it. 1, 2, 3.
Oh,
and please.
Oh.
It's not even bleeding. No blood even, please. I'll give you a Band-Aid so you don't cry.
Okay. It's like a dull ache, really, isn't it? It doesn't really hurt.
It doesn't really hurt, and it's about the size of a mosquito bite.
Should children have them?
It's recommended that after the age of 6 months that we give it to our kids. And frankly, it's much more valuable in the really young and the really old. But it's particularly the older folks who get the flu, and then they have heart attacks related to it. They get all kinds of complications related to it. So listen, it's one of those smart things. In life, there are some things that are predictable. There's some things that aren't. This is one of those events that I think can be beneficial with very low side effect. I mean, we've got 130 million of these little vials out there waiting to help people with. Let's take advantage of it.
If I get flu now, I'm coming after you.
I'm here.
25 million records. Dwight Yoakam is much more than a country superstar. He's a talented actor with a lot to say about issues that matter to America. Dwight's latest album is 3 Pairs. Welcome to you, Dwight. Before we go any further, you're a singer.
Yeah.
You must have had sore throats over the years.
I hear that. Well, you know
As you
what?
can tell, things are deteriorating. Is there any advice you can give me?
Don't ever take a flu shot again. Now, I watched that night with Dr. Oz, and in deference to Dr. Oz, I think he's, you know, probably, he seems like a completely competent doctor. And I don't understand any of the, you know, the kind of biological aspects of the, you know, of the meds that.
But we're both doing the maths, aren't we? We both saw him put that thing in my arm, and within 10 days, I've been struck down. You know what? I don't want to tell anybody out there. I'm not a medical advisor. Get your vaccines if you. I don't believe in them. I'm just suspicious by nature, and I saw you get it, and here we are. Well, let's try. We'll try and plow on with the interview.
It was pretty tough to watch Piers Morgan get struck down with the flu, I personally thought. But that was an oldie from last year. I think that might have been a couple years ago, but I think he summed it all up in his response. And Dwight Yoakam used some good old common sense. War stories from the front lines. We're going to use some patience, and if any quality stories that are under a minute, we're going to be recording things. The doctors like to use these for training tools. We'll show you some cool things. And I hate to use t-shirt logic, but I want to show you something I thought was interesting. Dr. Jeff is going to do something special on heavy metals. You'll see some very interesting hair analysis tonight. This will be an educational experience because as quick as we're trying to pull them out, they're trying to make sure you get them back in. Now, I found this picture, especially for this kind of lecture. That's what particularly, there's me on the end. This is our little baseball team. As I was growing up at 6 Mile and Inkster, one of these fellows decided to end their lives early. How many people know somebody personally that has ended their life early? Raise your hand. I've had 12 patients over a 36-year career. Probably 6 obvious and 6 total surprises. Now, it's kind of funny because Ron said to me, I sent this to my friend Ron, he said, "You look mad." I said, "Well, I just probably came from the pediatrician. I had a couple of allergy shots. I got my DPT shot, my arm hurt." But if you notice in the picture, I am the only one carrying his mitt ready for battle. This is deep. It's T-shirt logic. If a man is born ignorant to parents that are ignorant, in a society that is ignorant, lives a life of ignorance, and eventually dies in ignorance, then ignorance is the norm. Thus, indoctrination can be called education, hypnotism can be called entertainment, criminals can be called leaders, and lies can be called the truth. Because the mind never had a mind of his own. I deal with a lot of this today. And I want to go back for a second. I can't believe you're here, Anthony. That's the guy that shot Dan with the BB gun, digging a hole. Dan, he's a fireman. Dan Root's a fireman somewhere. We were digging holes, making forts. That's the guy that thumped. Make sure you show this to Dan. That's the story we'll get to eventually. Suicide. We have a major problem in the military. It's about 25 people a day, and most people haven't even left the country. I don't know what carnage they've experienced. Maybe, the Southfield Freeway at rush hour, the lodge. I don't know what would make 25 people a day. This is the picture in my office. This is kind of important. Let's see if I can put this. And I really was hoping to put a sticker over the guy's name, but I didn't really mention that. This guy walked into me, and he looked perfectly normal, and one of the girls came out of the room after screening him and said, he's a hypoglycemic and he eats bad, but he's not going to admit it to me. So I walked out. This was an artist. I'll never forget this guy. And this is a doctor story for a training tool for them. This guy comes into my office, and he looked perfectly normal, but I could tell in his eyes. I said, you're not doing that well, are you? There's things that you remember in your practice career. This was one of them. And he looked at me. I said, you're unraveling, aren't you? And he looked at me and said, as a matter of fact, I've been playing with Mr. Remington in my lap all week. So for the doctors, nervous exhaustion, overworked, that he checked for 12 of that pill. 9 to 12 is trouble zones. That's a good pill before you've unraveled right to the edge. He took his pills, pulled out of his depressed state, and gave me that picture as a present, which has been hanging in my office, which I've never used before. We lost contact for a couple of years. 2-3 years goes by. He gets in a car accident. He's getting the mail. He's getting the mail. Somebody hit him, broke his arm, his jaw, and his leg. He's laying in a ditch for a couple hours. They picked him up, goes to the hospital. I get him 3 months after this. So he comes in to see me, and all he complained about was being depressed from the pain pills. And I said, well, you shouldn't take them if it makes you depressed again. You got to stop. You can't do stuff like that. Well, he said the doctor said I had to keep taking it. Well, he went home in the barn that day, and he kept taking it. And that was it. That is a number you have to start watching, people, and that pill works very well to pull you out of some rough spots that are normal rough spots. I had an uncle that had a nervous breakdown. My accountant, maybe I'll use the name Gary because maybe his name was Gary. My accountant, for my entire career, set down his briefcase and jumped off the side of the parking garage. Done. After a meeting in Detroit. So his partner came in. I had to sign some paperwork. I said, what happened to Gary? Depression. This depression. But 60-year-old men are in deep trouble. 6 men, I grew up with 6 in Inkster. I have some friends here from the old subdivision. Raise your hands. I got a few. Now, 6, you remember the men and the suicides when we were growing up? I can name the guys. This was back in the 60s. Like 6 in that subdivision, men. Things didn't seem that bad. We remember, we hung out with their kids. Dr. Versendahl, the guy that trained me everything I know, he had a nervous breakdown. He was gone for 2 years, and I learned this technique from him after he came back. My Uncle Wally had a nervous breakdown. He had a busy mind, which we're going to get to. You busy mind people are going to be addressed tonight. My Uncle Wally ran General Motors, and when I asked him what happened to you, he had to fire 200 men. He got the jolts in his head at Northville. This guy said something. He said a lot of crazy things, but he said a rant a long time ago that stuck in my head. I never forgot this. He said, you ever notice that each war has its own mental condition? World War I, I think shell-shocked was World War I. Battle fatigue, World War II. Post-traumatic stress, Gulf War, Vietnam. Basically, they're trying to hide the fact that the men have had a nervous breakdown because they're tired of people shooting at them. So we've had a lot of crazy names that hide people are unraveling in front of you. We have some people here from the Brain Life Center that are helping out. Raise your hand, where are these folks at? They're in the back. They're going to answer questions. They have a drug-free approach to working with the brain. We work with a lot of patients together. They will be in the back answering some questions. Some general things from doctors' research that if you have that anxious issue, I don't think I'm really wired that way, but there's more and more people, and there's a lot of reasons that are driving up their anxiety, which we're going to get to today. And the handouts from the Brain Life Center, we have some handouts for them also. How many people read the JFK files? One. Now, last time I did this, I said, how many people read the 27 redacted pages of 9/11? And half the militia was in the crowd that day, and not one of them had read the redacted pages of 9/11, but they're all mad about something, but I'm not sure what it is because they never read anything. They're just mad. So, how many people read the JFK files? One. Anybody else take an interest? For Pete's sakes, they smoked the president right in front of everybody. Somebody had to have an interest in this. Well, number one, they said Hitler was alive in the 50s. He was wandering around in Argentina. That's there. Everybody knew that. What did they teach us in school? How far did this really go? What else was in the files? Here's the director of the CIA. We'll know our disinformation program is complete when everything the American public believes is false. You know how close we've been to that? I think it's swallowed a lot of people. You know, there's a lot of awake people here, but what I deal with every day is incomprehensible. And my staff understands it. Me and my wife and kids went to Greenfield Village. There's Kennedy's limousine. What did the files say about his limousine? What did they say? You should have taken an interest. They thumped the president in front of you. The files said they had to change the windshield before they showed the car to the public because they shot him from the front. That's what it said. There's the bullet hole in the windshield. Kelly did a good job. The famous Kelly digs this up through Gary's archives. You got this, what's his name? Look at that. There's the bullet hole in the window. They shot him from the front. How many times we got to hear this story? You tired of the story yet? But how much do you really know about the truth? I'm really questioning because I get to talk to you. My wife is practicing how to survive a nuclear blast. Duck and cover, that's it. It will survive anything underneath that desk. And there's a lot of interesting symbolism in that picture for all you conspiracy folks. Take that picture apart. That's a Greenfield Village. Well, they did it again. Big Food says, the American Heart Association says you got to stop using coconut oil because it's going to kill you. We're cycling that back because, it gets better. I drank that in a protein shake to come up here today. I did saturated fat, and I'll show you some protein that I did to come in here and be awake on less food. Well, the president of the American Heart Association had a heart attack after telling everybody his whole family's had a heart attack. His father, his grandfather, his other grandfather died. They put a stent in 2 weeks after a major study found that stents are worthless and carry more risks. He's 52 years old. He knows what's in his family. He did every test you can possibly do. He took every drug you could possibly take, and he still got clocked at 52. It never ends. Remember, the extent of your fake news is only just becoming available to you folks. It's been going on a lot longer than you think it has. How many times does it take general anesthesia before you have Alzheimer's? 7. 7. This is very important. Number one, now that I've hit the big number, for about the last 4 or 5 years, I was training the doctors this. I have gout with that number. Gout is missed everywhere by everybody. You have no clue to the extent. I want to say hi to the doctor that was sitting next to me at the convention, and he said, you know, I really appreciate these folks are enjoying the lectures to learn stuff that they haven't been able to learn because the guys that I learned from aren't around anymore. I told them how much gout that they're missing. I saw him 10 days later, and he looked at me and he said, I so appreciate your lectures. A 20-year ankle pain disappeared in 10 days, treating me for gout. So I could eat red meat and limp all afternoon. On the hip that I had a stem cell shot in, which you're going to learn about today, that is gout, and there's the range. You are missing 90% of the gout out there. It's very easy to spot. The joint attacks, the inflammation, pork, seafood, high fructose corn syrup, and booze will make you achy. It will make you achy, achier than you're aware of. Fantastic biotics. I want to do a shout out to Harry Eidner Sr. He watches all these lectures in Arizona. He's involved with biotics and fantastic. I've had tremendous results learning to play that funny background grit that takes over your brain, your heart, your arteries. You can see gout patients if you don't catch it. I'm going to give you a clue. They have a ruddy complexion. Interesting thing to find. Now, back in 2013, my lipoprotein A was 12. Half the people losing their brain today, your arteries are plugged up. What are your arteries plugged up with? What? Please say somebody. Please say that louder. Somebody said that. Yes, thank you, God, for saying that. No, that's the dumbest thing they've ever told you. In the last week, what did they just tell you? The entire heart industry scammed you by telling you that fat caused heart disease when it was sugar the whole time. Are you waking? Did you catch? Who saw that? They quietly put that between the Kardashian news or something. They've lied to you, so the low-fat diet cost you your brains. There's a genetic clotting factor in 13. There's my number in 2017. I caught some funny chest pains in myself. I warned my brother about it, who didn't listen, who got clipped. That's it. Dylan's got it and Derek's got it. Both my kids are carrying that clotting factor. They don't know anything to do with that. This is the Bob Probert stuff. This is the Herkowitz stuff. This is all those guys. That's back there. My hockey buddy, raise your hands, him and his wife. How different is that cleaning out your arteries? Yeah. Well, you're not lipoprotein A. You're a hockey buddy. You're just the wrong one. It's Al in front of you. Al plays in my over 40 league. What's it like skating with an open heart, Al? What was your number? You remember that? It was 200 and something. Now that number changed on me as I got older, and if I didn't notice some funny symptoms in my chest, getting some strange little twinges that should not have been there at rest, not playing hockey 4 nights a week, that's the kind of things lipoprotein A will stick you with. But there's my panel that turned on that I don't think my parents had. The kids are weaker, the genes are being turned over worse, and the kids are weaker than their parents because we have poorly nourished people having children. And I'm one of them. Is it the right time? Okay, we're going to go live. Is it 7:45? This is going live around. We stirred up the world with this case. And it got, I think they stopped counting at over 100,000 hits because I don't see it listed anymore. This gal's in the, can you play this, Kelly? Roll it. This is flu season, remember. This is one of my favorite patients, Leanne. We share a special date together. October 5th was the day I was born. And October 5th, Leanne was exactly like me last year. On October 5th, she got a flu shot. Would you please explain to the crowd how long did it take till this happened to you?
It took about a week, 1 week, and it went down fast, right?
Emergency room.
Yeah.
Almost died.
Almost died. Unless you've seen these, you do not understand what this is like. We started in a wheelchair about 6 months ago. I'm very aggressively trying to rebuild what's left of her damaged system from a flu shot. This is the first time she came in like a walker, on a walker. She was exactly like me the day she had the flu shot last year on my birthday. This is what they've done to this family. Thank you, Leanne, for sharing this story with the crowd. I am blown away at how wonderful her attitude is with what's been done to her, because I'd be a lot worse than this.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes. Now, the comments online, there's over 100,000 hits. This was shared worldwide, everywhere. So I said, I'm going to go live with the rest of the story because this really stirred up worldwide interest. Number one, patient had a flu shot. This is her official file. This is what she said when she came in. Patient had a flu shot October 1st, October 5th got ill. Flu-like symptoms, she got the flu. Couldn't understand her. Then went into respiratory and multi-system failure, dystonia. Then they start the funny names to hide it. Legionnaires, autoimmune encephalitis. And the treatment was plasmapheresis, which brought her speech back. Rituxan, you understand what Rituxan is? Rituxan was what Dr. Fatah gave you to smoke you. Currently in a wheelchair, difficulty speaking. I got her out of the wheelchair with some specific supplements that I can't really explain, but I'll show you what it was. The secret to this case is, when you see the medications at night, the ones that have the most extreme side effect are the autoimmune ones. Remicade is near the top of the list. So taking that pill for her Crohn's disease, Remicade, shut off her immune system, and she got the wrong shot at the wrong time on the wrong day, and that's what happened to her, and she's right there. And you're going to see what's been going on with her. Now, this is huge. I got her out of the wheelchair onto the walker slowly, and there's huge things in berberine, bacopa, cellular vitamin seeds. It's complicated to talk about this because I don't have enough time to explain why I use this. She's had interesting, incredibly slow progress. Then I run into these two who are sitting, raise your hands. Now, I'm getting older. I'm just starting to notice, walking around the tables, I get that little tiny catch in my hip. I play hockey 4 nights a week for decades. I'm in good shape. I have to stay in shape. And starting to find those little stingers. The guys in hockey are having their hips done. They're having things scraped. I am not going to do that. So meeting Juan and Kelly, things started to change. This is my back. There's my old left hip, which I put up in 8/16. I used it at a chiropractic lecture, never knowing I was going to meet Juan and Kelly. So I said, I got an old left hip. I drew this x-ray today. Now, if you look close, L3, L4, this is my back. I got an old hip and this is my worst hip. My left hip's getting a little old. My right hip looks worse, but it's not. Now this guy gave me a stem cell shot in my hip. I got stem cell shots in my back and stem cell shots in my shoulder that no one can believe I did. And there's a reason why I did it. But that's what it looks like. I have a ruptured disc right there. Now, as long as that doesn't hit the cord, I'm fine. Now, I can sleep funny, and I got to kind of walk that out a bit, but that disc is sprung. I got the shot to try to stop the decay. I've got both hips done. I need to get this pelvic girdle stable, and all those years on the trampoline and all the minerals kept those discs like that. There's the record of the worst injury to my back. See that stair step there? That's where my back is jarred, and that's where it's ruptured, and that's the disc. But if it doesn't touch the nerve, you don't even know it's there. So you got to harden it up off the nerve, get intelligent adjustments, take the right minerals. I'm not going to be put out to have my hip done. I'll do anything to avoid general anesthesia. Anything. There's me in my little gown thing. I don't really wear this. It's a gown where there's spear in my left hip, and it was it's been filmed for posterity. Dylan enjoys his pants partially down, as you can see the smile on his face. He's getting the stem cell shot in his broken leg. How much did it change your leg?
Quite a bit the first time, and I did it yesterday as well, and it's been, I mean, just tremendous from 1 to 2. But
it regenerates tissue.
1 was really good, but 2 was just it's crazy.
Now this is live. I'm asking him live yesterday. I haven't talked to him since yesterday. This is going to cramp the style of the medical industry, what these guys got going, and they're doing it for the cheapest price in town, and it fell in my lap to stop my decay. It was a perfect time for me. My wife has an old crummy wrist from falling when she was 12. She's had a series getting that wrist done. A relative. Is Kathy here? I have 2 relatives, her and her brother, bone on bone. Both of them. They're 58. How old are Kathy and Bob? Karen and Bob? They're 58, 56, I don't know, something like that. They're not 60 yet, and they're a little younger than me. They're delightful patients that both need their knees replaced. I watch her run through the parking lot crying her eyes out on new knees in 10 minutes. If I didn't see this, I don't think it's possible. I took a guy we're holding up our fingers. There's a pro hockey player I took to one of my games. He had both knees done, a $1,200 shot in each knee that he needed operated on. We skated like wild men. 2 days after I had my hip done, he had his knees done. It healed that fast. He started out slow, and by the end of the game, I got a complaint from the pickup place I told him to because he was playing too hard. He was skating, and when he saw where his knees were at, off he went. It was amazing. I watched it. Now, hit it. You want to understand what's going on? This is a real explanation.
Hi, my name's Juan Arlano. I'm with One Stem Cell Shot. My background is stem cells, but the company itself revolves around what's called tissue. Tissue is designed with Wharton's jelly and an umbilical cord. So tissue to tissue by the FDA standards, which we do abide by all their laws and regulations, which is we're allowed to inject the umbilical cord tissue to another human. If you come in with a bad shoulder and your shoulder hurts and it aches, we're going to try to do what's called regenerative medicine. Regenerative medicine is being able to take the proteins and take all of the substance of the Wharton's jelly and inject it into you and allow it to heal the property that is damaged. Benefit is that before you leave the room, it'll immediately affect you. And if it doesn't, don't pay for it. So our product itself is extremely safe by the FDA standards, which we do abide by all their laws and regulations. So that One Stem Cell Shot is here to help you.
Now, people can't believe I did this as fussy as I am. So surrounding yourself.
My name is Michelle, and I've been with Dr. Tent for 4 years.
This is why
I study biology at Michigan State University. Starting off, there are 2 main ways to derive stem cells: embryonic and non-embryonic sources. Non-embryonic sources are more ethical and do not use the embryo. As you age, your body's stem cells are weaker. They can only repair a certain amount of damage caused by age. To get fully potent non-embryonic stem cells, there are 2 options. The first are iPSCs, or induced pluripotent stem cells, that work on adult cells. According to the National Institute of Health, iPSCs require transcription genes injected into a virus to genetically reprogram adult cells into a stem cell-like state. Retroviruses are used as a delivery method for transcription genes. One of these genes, C-MYC, is known to promote tumor growth. This poses a health risk since the patient will be injected with a virus, but an agent that is known to promote tumor growth. The second way is to get fully potent non-embryonic stem cells is to cultivate them from genetically neutral regions of the umbilical cord and wash them of any genetic material. These stem cells can be processed and injected into the body as a copy and match your DNA to repair damaged stem cells.
Now, that went over most of your head. I said, Michelle, explain to the crowd why I had that done. The bottom line to me, why I had this done to me, because Juan said if I miss the spot, the body directs it to the spot. You can watch it. It thinks it's part of us. That's the part that got me. It walks to the injury. So, not being put out, I have experienced this, as has my family. And they're all, how many people? I got some stem cell people. And who's had this shot from Juan? Look around your crowd. Those are the people to talk to. They've had shots. And we've had some outstanding, cool results. How's it? We're still okay. Next. Now, this guy this is Harvard trained. He comes from Texas. We get him once a month. And he's how much fun is it working with my patients that are well nourished?
You guys are totally different than every state that I go to. I'm in 7 states. I have 23 offices. This group is like night and day. I have my other people come in. They come in with 4 problems. You guys come in with a specific problem, but the nice thing about it is you're healthy. There's a big difference. The health that you guys bring to me, it makes my job really easy. Thank you.
Now, Kelly's husband next to him, who's been a patient 30 years, Kelly's husband had 15 knee surgeries and 2 knee replacements. When he threw his walker away after the stem cell shot, and she tells me that, she got my attention. You want to be put out 15 times? No. This is why I do the lectures. People say, why do you do the lectures? Person comes in, looks at me and says, this is the yoga people and the workout people. I've been to the dermatologist, and we know one thing for sure, this is not ringworm. Because the test said it's not ringworm. That's ringworm. But if the test says you don't have ringworm, you just have to leave with your itch and just enjoy it. So believe it or not, that isn't ringworm, although it cleared up like ringworm, but it's okay. This poor guy, I let him turn his back to the crowd because he's like almost pooping his pants with water diarrhea. He gets a stool culture. They say, well, you don't have any bacteria in your gut. I said, what kind of animals are you around? He said, I raise chickens. I said, you got chicken stuff inside your gut. So you go from watery diarrhea, doc, nothing we can do as you're pooping your pants with your watery diarrhea because there's nothing wrong with you. This is my whole day. This isn't even a little piece of it. You learn to use that, man, learn to use that pill for that cryptosporidium giardia adventure. And you will save people. Yeah, I don't see lots of those, but that's what it looks like when you pick it up from animals. Bugs and filth. And I noticed this year, before I saw this article, I got about 3 mosquito bites this year where I lived. And people are all excited that the bugs are gone. Well, this was the strangest year for bugs. I don't think I had 3 or 4. And my wife didn't. She is 0. She said she had 0 mosquito bites. And she's fussier about it than I am. And I don't know where the bugs gone, but I got a feeling we're next. Remember, robots. Before you have cancer. Now look, this isn't a lot of fun. I take stuff that I feel not a lot from, and that's part of it. I want to show you why I make this. I get up in the morning, I take 2 of these. This is my little cocktail. And it's very important because that's what walks in the office. Now, you walk into my office with lung cancer with not 1 symptom. Not 1 symptom. There's more lung cancer in women than breast cancer by far. Lung cancer is taking out the women, not breast cancer. That's what it looks like. Jeff had one patient, the entire lung was white. Remember that patient? I said, you refer that guy out ASAP, and he was breathing fine. Lung cancer will sneak up and get you, and you have to be on your toes, and I'll show you how to be on your toes. Minerals for the genetic code. Richard Ulrey talked about selenium with iodine, 1 iodoral and 2 selenium with iodine helps run interference for polonium-210. Radiation is giving people lung cancer as much as smoking any day. Radiation causes lung cancer. That helps you with that particular pathway. And it's coming from the stuff that's dumping on us from Fermi. All the plants leak. How long does it take to create a new brain? I only get stage 4 everything. Nobody cares about working on their health today until they're like a mess. It takes 7 years to regenerate your nervous system. Skin, 27 days. Blood, 90 to 120 days. Muscle cells, 1 to 3 years. Bone cells, 2 to 4 years. The nerves, 7 years. You start running south, so that one little $30, $40 shot for Leanne, and I want you to know what she's walking like now. She got 45 million stem cells, and she did 12 steps today. Juan gave her injections up and down her spine, and she was walking today in the office. Correct? And he went up and down her spine and up and down her legs. Now, this is one of my rich patients. You can tell one of my rich patients. See how many thermoscans she's had? When you're rich, you just go to the doctor a lot, and you complain, and you take your bag of pills, and you get to do lots of things. You know, in my hockey league, the guys are on their 3rd colonoscopy. I just laughed at them. 3rd. They're like 58. I said, why? It's because they said it's time. It's easy. It's time. That's the answer. They said it's time. What about you? I said, I'm a virgin still. Not touched for the very first time. So here we go. Let's start the journey. TH1, here's your thermoscans for your breast. TH1, TH1. Now she starts to see this bioidentical guy in about 13. He's got her on all this DHEA. And boy, was she on a bunch of DHEA. By the time I get her, she's got stage 4 going on in that right breast from the bioidentical hormones that she's taking, that she don't even remember who put her on it or why she was even taking it. So stopping the DHEA, I got rid of that. She had a walnut in one of her breasts from taking too much in that. So getting rid of the estrogen, pushing it down aggressively back to 1s and 1s. She would have been in a gigantic mess from a supplement. You better understand this, because people are playing hormones that they know nothing about. When I started in practice, the number one reason for a baked kid, which I've never heard, was booze. How many people came in and said, well, my kid's all messed up because I drank a lot? That is the number one real cause years ago, before they got 68 shots before they're 2. I got a call from this Hollywood group that wanted to interview me about the Midwest heroin epidemic. It will be on Netflix eventually. I will let you know about it. But they came, I took them on a journey that they had no clue they were going on. I got 6 fist bumps before I was done. They said that, I said, you never see my stuff? I said, who? They were sent to me through a grapevine. When I got done, when you see this, I took care of business for them. You really ask? I'll tell you why. I told them. Nobody could say this better than Russell Blaylock with that southern drawl. Hit it, Russ. It's a minute.
We're developing a society because of all of these different toxins known to affect brain function. We're seeing a society that not only has a lot more people of lower IQ, but a lot fewer people of higher IQ. In other words, a dumbing down, a chemical dumbing down of society. So everyone's sort of mediocre. That leaves them dependent on government because they can't excel. We have these people of lower IQ who are totally dependent. Then we have this mass of people who are going to believe anything they're told because they can't really think clearly. And very few people of very high IQ who have good cognitive function who can figure this all out. And that's what they want. So, you know, you can kind of piece it together as to why they are so insistent in spending so many hundreds of millions of dollars of propaganda money to dumb down society.
Who could say that better than him? He's a 40-year neurosurgeon, Russell Blaylock, Dr. Blaylock. Now, if you learn nothing else except this today, I'm going to teach you a bombshell. If you learn nothing but this, nothing but this. 2017. This is catastrophic. You ready? The big vitamin D mistake. How big of a mistake could this possibly be? Since all disease, mortality, autoimmune, cancer, diabetes, anything, all causes of death are reduced to a multiple of 1 when your vitamin D is over 100. Not one of you in this room has vitamin D over 100 because you were told that's toxic unless you're working on something therapeutically. Mine was 60. All cause death. Everything drops to a multiple of 1. And it doesn't matter what you have. That's huge. You were told to stay out of the sun. Any cause of death drops to a normal number when your vitamin D is over 100. This has never been, that's all the literature reviewed in a peer-reviewed journal. 2,000 IUs for those under 1, 4,000 1 to 18. I'm pounding D, and you got to get your blood checked. LabCorp can run that for us. I probably did 15 drops today. I'm getting mine to about 110. We were told it was 60, 70. That's not true. That is what the literature supports. That's huge. That's 1 drop for your kids. That's 2 drops, 1 to 18, and 5 drops of that de-emulsion from Biotics. Anything under 75 does nothing. There's no evidence of adverse effects under 140. We've been told getting in the sun was the smartest thing you could have done to not get cancer. The target is minimum of 100. And this is, all the literature is there to make these intelligent. And your doctor's never going to tell you this again because they're still thinking that margarine is better than butter. So you're not going to get far with him. Now, only 20% is coming from the diet, 80% is from the sun. Now, they said for the diet, it's wild fish. I'm sure you guys get wild fish right out of that wild tank in Vietnam. You got wild eggs. You know where those, one part of them go to McDonald's and the other part go to you. And you get fresh milk. Well, that's great. I can handle milk that does not work on me whatsoever. Kids are playing indoors. What a mess. Get your bio. That is the cheapest, most effective way. Drive up your vitamin D. You want to drive it up hard. Breast cancer, all the cancers respond ridiculously to that. And it's in the literature. Now, number 1, I threw this in because there's a lot of subclinical thyroid brains. There's a lot of dull people because the fluoride, the chlorine, the halogens shut off your brains. I feel colder in the winter than the summer. I have a normal thyroid and take 2 of those because I enjoy being a little warmer, a little quicker metabolism, and a little more of my body burning fat faster. That's an easy way to do it. That's something I can take with a normal thyroid. I have strong stuff that I can't take. I enjoy being a little bit warmer in the winter, being a little more awake and having a little quicker metabolism because you can stay thin faster. That's very generic to do without having a problem and having to run a bunch of blood tests. Now, for the brain. Number 1, gallbladder. I want you to look at this lady. You look at that guy, they eat exactly the same. Look at the lady on here. This is amazing. Look at how crusty and dry her face is. Can you see that? Yeah, crusty, dry face. And look at that smile. They eat exactly the same. The difference between those two people, she has no gallbladder and he does. That's it. Fat makes your brain work. Fat makes your brain work. Fat makes your brain work. Look at the look on her face. Look at the look on his face. 1 week of teaching her, treating her, 1 month, for a gallbladder that was missing. Watch her face. Beta plus, biotics, 1 with each meal. All I got her to do was break her fats down in her diet. No vitamins, no minerals, nothing. Just absorb your food. He looks exactly the same. Her moods were better, her energy was better. She almost cracked a smile, and she said, I can't believe how much better I feel. Trying to run in this low-fat world puts you all in nursing homes. Beta plus. How many people have no gallbladders that take this in this crowd? Watch, raise your hand. They're all there. If you don't have a gallbladder, it'll kill you faster. When you don't break your fats down, you will die early because your nervous system runs on fat, which we've been told is evil. You know how many people told me saturated fat was bad? Well, that's why I'm the same size at 60 that I kind of was when I was younger, because I've been doing exactly the opposite of what they told everybody else to do because I knew they were nuts. Simple. Simple. Digestion. This is Kelly's grandpa. This is my grandpa. This is my wife's grandpa. This is all our grandpas. They're all baked. My grandpa's baked. Kelly's grandpa's baked. My wife's grandpa's baked. They're all baked. This is every one of their hair analyses. There's your dead stomachs. There's your Nexium, Prilosec, Pepcid. You like having no digestion. You think you produce too much acid. Well, that's where you end up. In a nursing home, starving to death. That's 3 meals a day, no hydrochloric acid, starving to death. Nothing to do with a disease. Typo, you have to digest your food. That's why the Mexican restaurants are everywhere, because nobody can eat McDonald's because they don't digest it as well as they used to. They got to have spicy foods. That's a whole subject in itself, but if you don't digest your food, you're going to lose your mind. And more people are losing their mind because they're not digesting your food than probably any other organic thing that's not chemically induced. I did that today. This is till your stomach starts working. That'll start making it work. Aluminum. Scientists prove a link between aluminum. Potluck. I'm sitting at a potluck. This is a potluck pot that a bachelor was trying to serve soup in. And I stood there, kept my mouth shut, which is unusual. And I'm going through the line, and he's like, you want some of my soup? Sure. And the women are getting the soup, and they're having a blast. And okay, I'll just wait till we're all done. Can I buy that pot? This is an aluminum pot. He's eating this pot. He juices, and he exercises, and he lives right. I said, you're going to be the healthiest dude in the nursing home. This will cook your brain. This is the pot. I didn't even wash it. This is what he's serving soup out of. You can do everything right and blow this. You can forget your vitamins, forget your pills, just this. The pot. Auction off as a memento. Mark Magnuson, where are you now? And he'll be watching. He's a pastor out in Missouri. Sensory processing disorder. When all these kids started coming in with these processing problems, I started to realize the kids have the exact same hair analysis as the people with Alzheimer's. Grandma is full of aluminum, and the kids are full of aluminum. It was the same thing in the same day. So these lost in space kids are full of aluminum. You see it all the time. They have weighed these kids' brains that have come to, have died early. There's so much aluminum. I'm putting peer-reviewed journals up. When you see all this dumb stuff on TV and all this emotional nonsense, this is just to sell you stupid things. This isn't journals. This is Dr. Oz. He don't care about you. And on these TV, Channel 7 guy, it's flu season, they're all a bunch of bums. You don't want to listen to any of this stuff. They've been brainwashing you your whole life. My mother woke me up at 12. This is not because I did this for a living. I've been fighting them my whole life because I thought they were nuts. Autistic children have higher levels of mercury, aluminum, and lead in their hair compared to matched controls. The Lancet Neurology, peer-reviewed journal. Time for your back-to-school shots. Goodbye, children. Hello, robots. The robots are taking over. Hair analysis is on your kids. If you start waking up and realize your kid's kind of starry-eyed at 7, you might want to see what's inside his little melon before it gets any worse. Boys, aluminum. Dr. Jeff had a patient. Now, there's your minerals. There's the before and after on a 6-month kid, and your brain will start clearing up. Common Core will start to make more sense. Mercury. Jenny McCarthy sent this out a long time ago. She enjoyed the autoimmune lecture, which is like got 2 million hits on it, so if you need more information on understanding vaccines, that is something that is circling the world. It comes back on the doctor websites every once in a while and makes me laugh. Lead. I drank lead pipes, lead water out of the Detroit water system that my mother wanted a water filter, but since Ford Motor Company didn't pay it, we didn't have one. If my father's insurance would have covered that water filter, we would have had it. But since it didn't cover it, we just got poisoned with lead and saved money. And everybody, all the people were protesting in Flint. Wasn't that fun watching the Flint protest? How ridiculous. 3,800 U.S. cities are 400% more contaminated than Flint. Lead makes you dull. Real dull. Real dull. Like a pencil dull. Fluoride reduces the will and vigor of the inmates. Reduces the will. The Europeans tell me, what would it take to stir you Americans up? You don't just stir it up easy. They're putting a hammer to you pretty hard. You just kind of like it. Exactly. Football's on Sunday. I'm going to paint my face, put my beads on, some other guy's name on my back, and act like I got testosterone when I don't. I'll yell in the stands. I'll pour beer on somebody. You are a man. Wow. Harvard study confirms fluoride reduces. I am so burnt out on this. Brian, this is for you. 30-year patient. You know, doc, I'm 54. Big company, does the auto show. My brain's going. What'd you brush your teeth with this morning? Crest. I said, for Pete's sakes, you've been a 25-year patient. What's the use? Let it go. Just eat it. Just eat it from now on. Do you understand this? Does anybody understand 5 Gs? Do you understand it? No, you don't understand it. They didn't read the JFK files, for Pete's sakes. How are they going to understand this? 5 Gs is the millimeter scanner at the airport that you opt out of. So if you don't want to walk through that thing, it's going to be every 12 houses, and you're going to be fried with exactly what you avoided at the airport. 5G is a millimeter wavelength that's going to penetrate your body. Period. Only the strong are going to survive what's coming. They said it's going to have to be about every 12 houses. This thing's going to be fast. It's a millimeter wavelength, exactly what you avoid at the airport. Serious problems coming, serious issues. I sleep on an earthing sheet. It's plugged in. I'm trying to ground, give myself a chance because I can't feel anything. You better block yourself from the radiation. You don't want that cancer. You better sleep on an earthing sheet because you can't even feel what's baking you right now. The Wi-Fi's everywhere. This is fun. This is fun. The essential fatty acid deficiency. After we just learned that sugar really caused heart disease, not fat. To look like this at 60 is not my diet. I have to take the essential fatty acid, which nobody likes to take, because nobody wants to take care of their health until they're like stage 9 or something. You have to have those oils. This is what it's like to eat essential fats and be flexible and limber while everybody's calcified, stuck, and full of hydrogenated oils. You have to offset the oils that you're eating, or you're going to look like John McCain's face and have his brain. Oils. I take oils every day because I'm eating crummy oils. I have to get good oils or I'm going to look like them. Go to the nursing home. That's all the people that did all the low-fat, hydrogenated this is saturated fat. That's what they told you not to do, and that's why they've made us brain dead. We've eaten the wrong oils our entire life. It's not fun, but every day, sure, you kind of burp those up a little. You can feel it because how well our gallbladder runs is how well we handle all this fat. Most of you can't handle any fat because your gallbladder doesn't work right. This is an essential part of my life because I never ate a piece of fish to this day. I don't even eat fish. My brain was made on French fries and hamburgers like everybody else's. I never had the right oils growing up. And slowly your body will turn these oils over if you drowned them yourself, and that's what I've done to myself. That's why I'm limber. That's my brain. So when you look at that lady's dry skin, that's what her brain looks like. Your brain's going to pick up these oils. When your skin looks that bad, your brain doesn't transmit anything. Your brain's dull because they grain-fed the animals. Animals should have eaten grass. Fish should have eaten algae and all that green stuff. You can't feed these things grain because you change the fat in their body to the wrong fat. One of my favorite patients comes from Canada, showed his entire class the secret history of the essential fatty acids and wanted to show the Canadian kids why everybody's so depressed. The kids are horribly depressed because we're on 2 and 3 generations of no fats and oils in the kids. My son goes to Northville. Was Jake in the class when he were in that class, the special class? There's a class Dylan was in. All these kids drive little BMWs and Audis to Northville, and they had a drama class. They said, everybody get up and tell a special story about your life, happy, sad, just get emotions from the crowd. Dylan comes home and says, I had no clue the whole class was depressed. Everybody had a suicidal story, they wanted to hang themselves or take pills. And Dylan got up and told a ridiculous story that I'll let Jake survive and not tell. But he came home and said, I had no clue people were this depressed in school. They had to drive their little Beamer up to Northville and talk about the horrible life they're leading. Eat butter. Now, I'm going to have a man tomorrow with a new patient, and he's going to have the Lipitor. He'll be a diabetic, and his brain will be half dead. Nobody cares that they said, how did they get this wrong? That was in 16. It doesn't change anything. The men love their Lipitor because they'll listen to anybody, because all they do, my wife last night said there's another guy on TV crying. They just cry all the time. Your men have been creamed in this country. This is one of the last visits with my dad. Ray, are you depressed? Yes. Selexia. Then, now he's mad and depressed. Now they go back, they call me. Well, I said, after the inhalers and the Selexia, you stirred them all up. You're going to have to settle him down. You're going to take him. I said, well, nobody can take him. Then it's Xanax, Klonopin, and Selexia. This is what my dad was paying $8,000 cash a month, and they smoked him so fast. And it's not that I was concerned about that because he was really tired of living. It's to watch the model that goes on in a nursing home. I went to the front, and one of the nice ladies taking care of him said, like the place is empty. And I know the doctor that runs the place, for Pete's sake, that's why he's a nursing home doctor. She said, you know, when it gets this empty, we get laid off. My dad would have lived 10 more years if they poisoned those people in there. He went in there on no medications that you saw him here. The list was like this long. That's what he looked like. They had him like that in about 6, 8, 10 months. Very simple. It's total crazy town. I went to the manager. I said, you should be giving them colonics or something. Give them food, juicing. I would see how long they can live. You're just trying to smoke them. I couldn't believe this. But he wanted to go anyway, so he got his wish. Hypoglycemia. My dad had a note, never talk to Phyllis in the morning. How many people can't talk to their spouse in the morning? Raise your hand. Anybody can't speak to that? Now, you can't talk to hypoglycemics in the morning or you're in trouble. You're going to get, that's a long car ride home. It's a long, you don't have separate cars. If you can't, my dad had a rule, do not talk to my mother in the morning because you're going to get it. There's a lot of people you can't talk to in the morning. Those are your hypoglycemics. Those are the ones that don't handle alcohol too well. Those are your blackout friends. Remember your blackout friends? I do. This was me as about 37. I think this started drifting into my life, waking up in the middle of the night. This was the lady on Channel 7. She comes in. She's losing speech in the middle of her broadcast. I'm losing my words. Well, you're either really messed up or it's real simple. We'll see what it is. Well, treating her blood sugar, she stopped not talking. And, well, one of my Skype patients, well, they couldn't figure out a reason. She got about 7 kids. She rolled on a kid and suffocated him. She had a seizure from low blood sugar at night. These are my seizure patients. They have all kinds of seizures. They put you on epilepsy. No, your blood sugar, you didn't eat. Lots of seizures. B complex. I took 10 Cataplex B to come on this stage because my frontal cortex from a lifetime of our diet has killed us. I do my lectures on B and Mediarv ginkgo. It's a whole list of mental symptoms for your frontal cortex. Classics, a constant feeling that something dreadful is about to happen. These are my professional worriers. These are my empathetic patients that cannot handle large rooms of people. They avoid the friction of social contact. Sugar will put you in this state. This is the sugar junkies. Sugar will make you eventually, you're not going to want to leave. Irrational fears, lack of focus, depression. I have to it's water soluble. We do not store B vitamins. The sugar's killing it. I can't go into work without every morning. Charles Schultz said in an interview, I've lived my entire life with the irrational fears, and that's the same thing Mark Twain said. I can't believe all the things they're worried about never happened. That's what he said at 89. B vitamins will leave you in a worrying mess, and that deficiency in this crowd would be almost universal. Me, I'm trying to stay hard enough as my glucose is worse than my father's. My father had better blood sugar sitting in that chair than me. The kids are weaker than their parents. You better get used to it. You are not the same. The slide is this way. You are turning over cells worse. My dad sat in that chair with 85 glucose. Mine's in the upper 90s. Walking 4 miles a day, playing hockey 4 nights a week. You're losing ground because of the things that we eat. This is how I stay toned. I have to shut off my carb craving. My wife has better willpower than me. She can will herself up. I have to shut it off. This works. I can wake up more toned in 1 day doing this. I'm pushing my testosterone up and my insulin down because it's nice to feel toned, especially when you're playing hardcore hockey, 4 days a week. The tone helps you survive the collisions. And praise the Lord, I've survived the collisions. There's my saturated fat. I did this shake today. I'm more concerned about my brain. The B and the ginkgo is all I did to make sure I didn't sleep well the last 2 days, and I got to be awake for being kind of tired. I know how to override that, and that's one of the ways I'm doing it. I live off this. This is why there's nothing in the food. You do my shake, you can eat whatever you want as long as it's biblically clean. That's what I live off because I don't eat that good. I would rather do it this way because it's funny, I think I'm lucky that my mother wasn't that good of a cook. I really do. People live for food. Just their whole life is food. I don't really care that much, and I feel lucky because if the food shows, the guy will eat a rattlesnake head or something. If it ain't moving, he'll hold it down and eat it, and I'm like, I can't even imagine what would make you do the things that you want to eat. Yuck. I can't imagine, like the eating in the wild. How long would it take to deworm some of those guys after them shows? If you can even get it out of them. You might not even be able to get it out of them. Everybody over 60, the kids love their B12 lozenges, and I don't even know why. I remember you guys were doing this. Anybody over 60 will get energy from dissolving one of those in their mouth and swallowing the juice. Your stomach is in the way of your B12. B12 looks exactly like Alzheimer's. Exactly like Alzheimer's. There's very little difference. Let's see how I'm doing here. We're moving along with sheets and piles. Good. Brain fog, simple stuff. Now, this is magnesium, Green Med Info, medical literature, the first safe line of defense for clinical depression. Now, they had a great article, but it could have been done better. The better part of that article is you want to learn to use a chelated magnesium. This used to be in Germany, Dr. Nieper's formula in Germany. People with MS went to Germany to get that injection or whatever they were doing in Germany, because without calcium, that crosses the gut wall real easy. The other one's just going to give you the runs. A secret with magnesium, sit in a chair at night, you feel kind of tired, you go lay down and you feel kind of tight. There's a huge magnesium deficiency because calcium is in excess everywhere. Spring water, Evian, Perrier, well water, your food's fortified with too much calcium, magnesium is losing. And that's a huge blood pressure thing. That's a real blood pressure pill. This is very important. This is very important. I'm amazed when in my office, as I watch people aging, that they're stuck. I get a chair, see how everybody's calcified and frozen and stuck. I am an alkaline person. I don't like orange juice. I'm not a big fruit person. I never liked that well because I was bottle fed, too much iron, no zinc, alkaline person, didn't have good digestive, food allergies, allergy shots. This is poorly understood. Nobody understands what I just described. I did this in detail at a lecture on chiropractic and exercise on the acid-alkaline balance. I do this for the doctors one day. They're alkalizing all of you. You want to be more acidic when you're older, not more alkaline. That train left the station and everybody's on it and they're barreling right into the woods. What causes calcification of the pineal gland? That's why people can't sleep. Fluoride, bromine, and chlorine. My mother took enough synthetic calcium, she was stuck. My mother was frozen and calcified, oyster shell, dolomite, centrum, all that Oscal, all that stuff. You can't eat that stuff. You're clogging up all your arteries. It's calcifying your body. That's what nobody can sleep. You get rid of pineal gland calcification with iodine. There's my hockey cocktail to sleep. I have to sleep, drive up. I will sleep. After hockey, that's 11:30 at night because I got to get to sleep. Now, Green Med Info, once again, great resource. They said, well, maybe Alzheimer's patients just have a calcified brain. Why would you have a calcified brain? Evian, spring water, Nexium, Perlosec, Pepsid, iron supplements. Your synthetic iron supplements are killing you. Your synthetic supplements. You push your zinc down, you don't digest your food. Push your zinc down, you don't digest your food, you don't make testosterone without zinc. And my wife's pet peeve is all the men, at least 2 or 3 men a night, cry. If the TV's on, whatever show's on, they're just letting it go. Women are standing looking at them, what's the matter with you, you weenie? And it's just, they say they painted my wall. Oh my God. The men have no testosterone. I see their numbers. It's incredible. Over 60. I did my 3 of those and the B to come in here. There's my eyes and my brain. When you get old, you can make your brain sharp, your eyes sharp, and your brain sharp. Why everybody's doing this Coumadin stuff, you get blind, dull, and you look black and blue like you've been mugged in an alley. That's embarrassing. Now, herbs work fantastically on older folks. Short-term, long-term Alzheimer's. There's a 3-month overhaul that I enjoy doing when I'm not doing more important things. You can crispen up. Those are drugs for the brain. And real herbs work fantastically on the older folks, more than vitamins. It's drugs. Yes. Yes. Ready? Are you ready? Drum roll. Lithium. If you have a lithium deficiency, how much trouble can you really get into? How much trouble can you get into? I can walk through this crowd and spot everybody that needs lithium, 80% of you. That's lithium eyes. Nancy Pelosi, lithium eyes. There's nothing going on in there. Deficiency common, balances neuron, extremely common. Overstimulated and exhausted, constantly overwhelmed and can't handle external stimulation. My father was a classic. I grew up with this brain. We thought and talked and didn't do anything. We ran in circles. We chased our tail. He had 4 jobs to stay busy. He had a tool house. He drove us nuts. We didn't cut the lawn. We talked about cutting the lawn. We didn't do anything. We just talked about it. I said to my brother, what's it like dealing with Dad? Well, it's kind of like wiping your butt with a wheel. It's the same thing over and over and nothing changes. I'm sorry to say that, but that's a true story from my brother. My dad spun in circles. I had no clue what was going on in this life. It was horrible. Absolutely horrible. This is what it's like. She's been in a nut house. Look at those eyes. She's been in a nut house twice. She couldn't find a nut house, I don't think. These busy, busy eyes. They have squirrel cages in their head. They have millions of thoughts. It's in my family. And it missed me. This missed me. Uncle Wally had it. Grandma Cassie had it. My dad had it. These people run 10 miles in the morning before work. 10 every morning. They'll get a stress fracture, run the next day. They run themselves sane until you fix them. They have to keep busy because they're going to drive themselves nuts. It's a vegetable culture. I got more people on this than probably anything. This will change your life. There's a lady right there in the front row having my first grandchild sitting next to my son. We have busy brains on both sides of the family. She is pounding that pill. We're trying to erase this chatterbox from my first grandchild. She's taking her supplements fantastically. She feels fantastic. She's been very cooperative, and she's going to try to help repair a brain in the next generation, which I wish was done for me. So Alexis is in the front. Oh, congratulations. I got kids that have to start their day with this, or the teacher will drive the teacher nuts. The monkey chatter. They ruminate their thoughts. It's just a constant battle. The monkey chatter leaves their head. I have silence in my head. The notes that I've had on my desk from this is a life-saving supplement. It helps lower high cortisol, zinc and lithium together, the nervous system. Speedy Gonzales, the turtle. There's Steady Eddie, Speedy Gonzales. This one's the fight or flight, rest and digest. Some people, we have both of those things working in all of us. The sympathetic are the ones with the lump in the throat, they gag easily, they're running hot. I can't go over all these, but you can do this at your own leisure because it'll be online. Parasympathetic dominant, more Steady Eddie, much more of a slower starter. Minerals help both of these halves of the nervous system. Now this is important. Sodium-rich foods, potassium keeps you calm, sodium stirs you up. Now sodium-rich foods and potassium-deficient foods promote sympathetic dominance. So the kids eating your salty foods all day, that's where they're like this because they drove your potassium down by driving their sodium up. You have potassium to keep yourself, more of a break. The nitro greens are a great source of potassium. Sauna. Sweat out 7 more times toxin than a traditional sauna. I have an infrared sauna. I play so much hockey that I sweat so much in hockey, I don't use the sauna. If I wasn't playing a lot of hockey, sweating a lot, I would be in that sauna. You can get rid of half the chemicals in your sweat. Half. Exercise. Serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine. I've exercised so much. I am like the people running in the rain now. I'm just a hockey player. I never saw this coming in my life. I know what it's like to drive up those neurotransmitters with no pills from playing hockey 4 days a week. And what that's done for my brain, there's not a pill on earth that would do that. You get addicted to feeling normal. School set very high standards in the country. They tripled recess, and their test scores beat all the other schools, showing the kids how to play. Raising serotonin levels, fantastic, standalone. Look, this is an important pill for brain chemistry. B6, that's the pill you take till you dream. If you'd have no dreams, B6 phosphate, you'll see me talk about that. Way to raise serotonin. This is what Russell Blaylock talks about with all the anxiety in the kids. There's the principal excitatory neurotransmitter in the central nervous system, glutamate. Those are the excited brains. Those are the people with a lot of agitation. You need to cool off. That's what all the MSG stuff they talk about and all those synthetic chemical things. You need to shut that brain off from those agitated people. Lithium, magnesium, B6, the zinc, fantastic combination to repair that agitated, busy brain. The blood-brain barrier. Everything that goes up your nose goes directly on your brain, and there's no filter in your nose. All the perfume, all the paint smells. My bathroom's being redone. I'm sleeping in dioxin, asbestos, and dust right now because this little bathroom is being done. So there's a coating in my body right now of construction junk that I feel like has coated my entire body. And, they take them, they do part of something, then they leave for 3 days. You just get to breathe the fumes. They'll come back, do this one, and I'll breathe that for a week. It's just kind of fun. I see my Albanians back there. Always for the Albanians. They take care of me. That's my bodyguard. You get me to the car, would you there? These Albanians take care of me. We've had a nice time together. The blood-brain barrier, go to Hudson's. I always like to say, go to Hudson's, go to the fragrance department, find the oldest lady that works there. How many years you work there? She's like talking to Nancy Pelosi on a bad day. Yes, a real bad day. Smelling glue all day. This is glue. You are sniffing glue without realizing your perfume is glue. All of that stuff is glue. It's a toluene-based poison. It's horrible. All your fingernail polishes, it's going right on your brain. You know how long it takes to get fingernail polish off your brain? Forever. Your body wasn't designed for fingernail polish. It wasn't designed for any of this stuff. So it's got to work real hard to move this stuff. It's used to like food and water and bugs and insects. It's not used to synthetic poisons. You're taxing it. And then you come to me and say, but I eat perfectly. I've lived a perfect life in America. The foreigners never say that. What the Americans put me through. I took that. There's your blood-brain barrier. And when you break that blood-brain, and remember, your blood-brain barrier is as good as your colon. That's a blood-brain barrier also. You got a weak colon, you got a weak blood-brain barrier in your head. Great detoxification. Scent arrest, fantastic for kids. All those chemical allergies. I'm very fussy about this. That's why everybody's puffy and swollen. You're puffy and swollen because you're all full of plastics and chemicals, and it's hard to get rid of that from our body. Great detoxifying things. I take 2 of those and a scoop of that. I might experiment with this next, but that's a real standalone pill for the chemical sensitive people. 1 twice a day if you have all these sensitivities. Good pill. Man-made chemicals. You need to have your detox. You can't avoid the chemicals. They have to keep moving. If they stop, to handling those excited brains that Russell Blaylock talked about, you have to have zinc. Everybody in this audience should be on zinc. Lithium, I can spot all of you. I should say 80%. There's some slide by. Robin Williams, I ought to put him on lithium. He drank to stop that chatter. That just drove himself nuts. Classic. Can't remember your dreams? B6 really modulates neurotransmitters. It's a very special type of B6 that makes your brain work. I'm not doing bad, am I? Good. Now, important lectures for people that are rookies with this. The secret history of the essential fats is very, very important to understand fats and oils. It's not symptomatic stuff. Your fats and oils are huge. The exploding autoimmune epidemic, I'm grateful that I'm still alive after that lecture. That's generated a lot of interest, and there's probably 2 million hits on that. Compromised stirred up the world a little bit. And things that might help you make some choices. And now, it's Christmas time. I was hoping all of you would support your poor friends and neighbors, not DHS. We all have too much stuff. I would look forward to you supporting the office so I can support this monstrosity that I have going at a time that would be easier to retire than to continue to do this. But so many of you have been very nervous about that. If you help support this office, I will continue to do this because it's only been 36 years of dealing with this. So I look forward to support the office. We have Juan over here answering any questions about stem cells. The Brain Life Center is in the back. Brain Life Center is over here. I will see you in April. I'll be doing 2 lectures next year. War Stories will be on, and enjoy the lectures. I really enjoy the stem cell folks. They've been great, and that's my mother-in-law at the end that had that one shot that she paid 10 times more than your shot. And my mother-in-law was happy with her shot, and she got great results. So thank you all for coming. Enjoy your holidays, and I'll see you next time.